What's it like to have a parent who actually shows up? I walked into our apartment and immediately knew something was wrong because my mom was standing in the kitchen with a drink in her hand, and her face had that twisted look it always got when she'd been drinking since noon. She turned to me and her eyes went cold. "Where the hell have you been? Do you think you can just come home whenever you feel like it?" Even though I'd been at school like normal. I said, "I came straight from school." She laughed this mean laugh and said, "You're a liar just like your father. You have no respect for anything I do for you." I spent the rest of the night in my room waiting for her to pass out so I could come out and do my usual routine. Clean up the empty bottles and baggies, lock all the doors, and make sure she wasn't going to hurt herself. As I cleaned up the evidence of her bender, I thought maybe it didn't always have to be like this. Maybe there were places and people where things could actually feel normal. When my friend Rashad invited me to spend the weekend at his place, I almost turned him down flat. I didn't want to deal with my mom being angry if she was messed up when I asked her. But later that week at parent-teacher conferences, Rashad's dad asked my mom if I could come over for the weekend, and she said yes, like it was no big deal. The next day, Rashad's dad picked me up in this clean car that smelled like nothing bad, and he actually asked me how my day was going while he drove, instead of just ignoring me the whole way. I didn't even have to worry if he was sober enough to drive. Walking into Rashad's house felt like stepping into some kind of alternate dimension where things actually worked the way they were supposed to. His dad made lunch before we even asked, because apparently that's just what you do when people are hungry. He even asked us what we wanted to eat instead of just deciding for us and making us deal with it. He didn't get annoyed when we took forever to decide either. He just waited patiently and seemed like he actually cared what we picked. When I accidentally dropped my soda and it spilled everywhere, he laughed and said accidents happen instead of getting mad about the mess. That night at dinner, he told us stories and asked us questions about our lives, and he actually listened to our answers like they mattered. Rashad's brother made a joke that was kind of mean, and their dad called him out on it gently without making it this huge dramatic thing. He just said, "Hey, that's not how we talk to each other," and his brother apologized and they moved on. Nobody was slurring their words or getting angry at nothing. In the morning, he made breakfast, and he remembered that Rashad didn't like mushrooms, and he remembered that I'd mentioned being allergic to shellfish even though we'd only talked about it once. We ate breakfast and nobody was hungover or irritable, and the whole morning was just peaceful and planned and reliable. When we were packing up to leave, he pulled me aside and said he was really glad I came and that I seemed like a good kid, and if I ever needed anything or if I ever just wanted to hang out, that I should let Rashad know. Riding back in the truck, I started thinking about my mom and how she'd probably be passed out on the couch or in one of those moods where everything I said would be wrong. As we pulled up to our apartment building, I felt this sick feeling in my chest, knowing I had to go back inside. Rashad's dad didn't say anything weird about it. He just said I was welcome over any time, and he meant it. I walked inside and found my mom awake and agitated about something. I could tell she'd been drinking. She started yelling immediately, "You better not have been any trouble, and you better appreciate everything I do for you. The world doesn't owe you anything just because you're my kid." I didn't argue back. I started staying at Rashad's house more, and his dad never made me feel like I was a project or a charity case. I realized I didn't have to accept my situation was permanent.